Hey everyone, I'm back and I'd like to apologize. My phone decided that it wanted to start deleting my photos and videos, and unfortunately, that meant I could not finish talking about everything, and it also stopped my video in the process. I have some phone issues, but that's okay. I got back. Once I get a better camera, I'm pretty sure that situation will be resolved, and I won't have so many cut off videos. Very sorry about that. Anyway, back to talking about this cash register that I made. I was on the part where I was talking about how I was making the pattern and how I drew it and cut it out. And of course, I drew it on cardboard and cut it out from there and then glued it together. And then I after gluing it together, I decided to also glue on this piece here, which was just a piece of cardboard. And then the knob, I actually didn't use what I originally was planning on using. I was going to use a bead, but it didn't work. So instead, I basically took a blob of glue and made it 3D, let it dry, and glued it on here. And then after that, I painted over it black. And I used the paints from downstairs for, in our dorm, some of the school supplies are in here, so they have black paint, and I decided to use it from there. So that's how I made the structure and everything like that. I used fabric glue. I should have probably used hot glue gun, because hot glue gun just works better, and well, I already explained how fabric glue does stuff, but because of that, I should have used that, but it doesn't matter because it's still pretty strong. See, I'm like, no scratches, no nothing, it's fine. So, it's still strong. Fabric glue is strong, it just takes longer to dry, whereas glue gun actually works faster and is usually just as sturdy. So anyway, this piece is glued on, so it doesn't open. I wanted it to open originally, but I ended up not doing that. Then up here, where it says $25, I literally, I just wrote on a piece of paper, a strip of paper, and, cut it to size and glued it on with a glue stick, and it worked. This part right here, the keypad, all I did was take pins with white bobs at the top, and stuck them in. Now, what I was worried about is what the pins could come loose or fall out, or people could pluck them out. It could be a hazard to kids and stuff like that. So instead, I decided to glue them in. So that's why, if you can see here, see that kind of white strip stuff in the middle? That's glue. You can't really, you can still kind of see it, but it doesn't really affect the look, and it's not as visible as it is when I do it close up like that, and so then you can really see it. But it still looks okay, and so that's how I did the typewriter part of the cashier register. And yeah, actually, that's it on the cash register. I already explained the rest on the other video. So, and that's how I created that. On to more of my creation. This is the stool I created. I actually wanted it. Well, I was making the stool just because. I know this sounds crazy. The stool is actually what started me wanting to build the whole bar in the first place, because I liked the way I originally structured it. Yes, it's a little lopsided, so it will kind of move, but it moves just like a regular chair that's made cheaply would move. It's still functional, and it just kind of reminds you of those school desks and chairs that always wobbled and bothered you. But it functions well. Yes, a doll can actually sit on it without it breaking, and it still looks pretty cool. So I still like it. It still looks cool, and it still functions. So I didn't have a big problem with it. So what I did was I took a compact mirror and broke it, which I used in another project. The mirror part I used in another project, which I might show another time, but it's already done, so I'll have to do the same thing as I'm doing here and just explain how I did it, which isn't as fun as showing, but that's okay. I used the mirror in a different project, and the other part of the mirror that wasn't the actual mirror, just the lids, I didn't really know what to do with. I was originally going to create 2 stools because I had 2 pieces. A compact mirror opens and closes. So, but it was too hard to use the second piece. And making the first stool was really hard as it was. It took me maybe about 3 hours to do also, just like my grill over here. So it took a long time. And trying to make it function, stand up, and as I said at the time, since this was the first thing I had done, and as you saw with all the glasses and the what's it called, cashier register, clearly I just didn't have very good materials, so it was really hard to work with. Eventually I went downstairs, and like I said, they had a glue gun, so I was able to work with that and glue up here. But before I did that, I actually glued the bars using fabric glue. And again, that was a pain in the butt that I regretted, and some of it even came apart because of the time it was taking to stay up in the position it needed, so I ended up just going ahead and using hot glue gun. Fabric glue works really well in the fact that it stays in place. It's very strong, but when you're letting it dry, it falls apart so easily because it's a very long process. It's not a normal type of glue, let's put it that way. So hot glue gun worked pretty well. And so yeah, the top seat part here is part of the compact mirror. I'll turn it upside down, maybe you can see it a little better. Where the mirror used to be, right there, you can see all the little dents and stuff. Anyway, and the bottom part is made out of barbecue skewer sticks. So I cut them down to size to what I needed, and then glued them together, and then I painted it black with the same paint that I used for the cash register. Okay, so part of me thinks this is what I should have started off with, but oh well. This is basically the headset piece with lights that I created for the bar, because a lot of outdoor bars have see, I never knew what to call it. They just have an over roof kind of thing over the head, and I never know what it's called. I'm sorry. I'm very bad at names, but that's what it is. And it's held up by 2 poles and has little lights coming down from it. So if you can't tell, the title says Missy Muffet, so it's her place. Yes, I will be customizing a doll, and it will be Little Miss Muffet's daughter. And because of that, that is the reason why I said I actually kind of wish, even though the stool was the inspiration of the whole idea, I kind of wish I hadn't done a stool. I wish I had done a tuffet, but at the time I didn't know I was going to be customizing a doll. I thought I was just going to buy a doll and put it with the set, but I wanted one that suited what I was going with, so that would have had to be either a Barbie or a doll that I was more interested in, but I didn't think Barbie was really suited for this. I don't know. I'm not much of a Barbie fan, and I didn't want to put a Barbie doll in there, but That was just me. I also thought of maybe doing a Monster High, but I don't know much about Monster High because, again, I hate Monster High, so I didn't know if maybe I'd accidentally put one that didn't have anything to do with a bar. So it took me a lot of thought and consideration as to which doll I would buy to put into this playset, and I couldn't come up with any. So I just decided, hey, maybe I could customize a doll. Okay, who would I customize? That took me forever. So I eventually came up with the daughter of Little Miss Muffet. And they actually show her on the cartoon for this show slash toy line. So I thought, okay, I could probably customize her since she doesn't exist in a doll yet. And I thought it was a good idea. But because of that, after I thought of this all through, after I had already started the project, I unfortunately came up with a stool instead of a tuffet. And I think a tuffet would have just been so cool considering Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. But I pretty much made the idea spring out anyway with this. So it turned out all right. And that the letters are pink and purple because in the show, and I will show an image later of what Miss Muffet's daughter looks like. She doesn't really have a name yet. We just know she's Miss Muffet's daughter because of what she says in the episode she's in. So she has a spider there. 1, 2, she says pull up a tuffet and sit down, and she also even says welcome to Miss Muffet's yogurt bar. So even though this isn't a yogurt bar, it's still a bar. It just all seemed to fit. So, but these are her colors, are pink and purple in the show. So I decided to make it like that. Hence also the reason why I bought the pink chair, and it didn't seem to go with the design of the green. So where did the green come from? Well, since the stool was my first inspiration, the green came from the stool. The green has nothing to do with her outfit, but the green looks good here, and it looks good here, and it looks good there. I also used different kinds of green because I couldn't get the shading right. So, however, the green still kind of, like, when you look at the whole combination, for some reason it still looks cool, and I liked it. So here is the top piece roof part of everything. I made it using kind of like a soft felt material that had I don't even know what you would call this material on the other side. I don't even know. But it's a type of soft material on one side and kind of almost leathery on the other side, but not quite leather. And it's definitely not real leather if it was. So I painted on the name just with acrylic paints. And then the rest of the design here, I also used green acrylic paint. On the back, to keep it up and steady, I used straws for the support. And I did a lot of straws so that it would be really sturdy and wouldn't break. No, it bends, which is good because it's supposed to, considering what it is, but it doesn't break. And I also glued the lights onto there as well. The lights are made off of, actually this part, the string part, came from the keychain of the wine bottles I used on both of them. So that's how they were made. And then I took a hot glue gun and put the glue into this and attached the chain to it. And that's how I made that. This part right here is just like that alcoholic beverage glass that I showed earlier with that I just basically took off of a pencil and then glued it onto the plastic. Well, this was taken off of a pen. So this is the top part of the pen. See, if you were to write, it would look like that, right? Okay, so yeah, that's part of the pen, and I took them both from the same kind of pen. The pens were cheap. They were actually free because they were from the school property. Woo. And then the light piece, I also just glued in. And they were just sticker gems that I had, but instead of sticking it in, because I didn't think that would just stay, I glued it in again with a hot glue gun. The supporters here, I cut and glued together some, what are they called? I don't know why I can't think of them. Popsicle stick. Big popsicle sticks, thick ones. And I glued them together and painted them black to still keep the theme. And I connected them to those sticks. And they are crooked, yes. They, again, are stable. I made sure of that as well. But they keep the whole structure from collapsing, falling apart, or even being so bendable and movie. So it was more of a protection thing, and it works. It really does. The reason it's crooked is because when I glued this thing together, unfortunately, the structure it moved around a lot, and because of that, it wasn't very stable, and its lack of stability made it crooked. So I had to take this and combine it so that it would be stable. So even though this part is crooked, it's actually making the rest of this structure very stable. And that's the reason I had to do it that way, which again is unfortunate, but it works. So this part I actually made out of, what are they called? Paint stirrers. So like things you would get at Home Depot, painting your house. I took paint stirrers and then painted them black and had them cut for me. Somebody helped me cut them because, well, I don't work with wood, so I can't cut through wood very easily. So I had to go to the wood shop here in the art department, and I cut through it there. So that's how that worked. And then I painted it black. So this long pole part is the same thing. They're from the exact same thing, that they're both paint stirrers on both sides, all painted black. And the paint I used from the art department here as well. So I don't know if you could notice the mess of it, which was intentional. Again, remember how I said that I didn't want to make this fancy. So the reason I didn't want it fancy is because I really didn't know what theme I was going with. And now that I do know, I'm actually glad I kept this way, because it's definitely not extravagant, and I want to give it kind of like an older look. Now that we know, who's going to be with this whole set, which is Little Miss Muffet's daughter, well, she's all about like tuffets, which again I said why I didn't do that in the beginning, and curbs of whey, or what else would you call it, like porridge, and spiders. So I thought, spider. Well, I can make all of this old and unique and just like kind of maybe a little run down but still pretty looking. And so it's got this kind of spider design going on around. So I didn't want to do anything too much to this. I wanted to keep it the way it was. And therefore, I decided to do a lot of cobwebs. So here's why that is all like stringing down. We have like what looks like a cobweb here, right? You can see kind of all of the lines and stuff that goes into this. So the reason why, not the reason why, the way it was created was seriously all I did was take part of the hot glue gun and glue the top part and let it drain and drip the whole time until it got thin. Then I'd cut it to the point where it like stopped. You couldn't see it anymore at all. So I cut it off by that. It wouldn't be noticeable, right? So I did that, and then I decided to glue, I'm sorry, I was unfocusing on it, glue it down to here so that it wouldn't fall or collapse or break because they're so thin. So yes, these cobwebs are actually intentional. And I think they fit the design really well. Really loved it. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I have the whole cobwebs going through. And also why, if you look over here, I have other designs that look kind of cobwebby. So I have strings falling down. I have what kind of looks like a spider web here. I tried to make a spider web, but it turned out more like it still looks like it's a web, so it's okay. And here's a cobweb here, some strings going down, a spider. The spider I got at Hobby Lobby, it also is a sticker. And it's actually a really good sticker, so I didn't need to put any glue or anything with it because it's a very firm one. So that's good. And then more cobwebs going up there. Then again, cobwebs over here as well. And then a spider, the same kind of spider as over here. So it's also from Hobby Lobby. And then I kind of made a string going on from another cobweb up here. And this I got from Hobby Lobby. This came with the clock, actually, that I showed earlier. I don't know if you can see this. Well, it's a phone. It's supposed to be like a phone, so, they can call people, I guess. So, and so that's this structure. I don't know what it's called. Again, I'm very bad at names. Forgot to mention also, the cobwebs are also made from glue, the same kind of way. Some of them I actually just took the design and glued with a hot glue gun. So I literally took a hot glue gun. There's nothing on it, nothing else. It's just hot glue gun making designs and sometimes string hanging off because hot glue guns do that. And onto the last piece. Here's the table piece for the bar. Again, looks kind of cobwebby and stuff like that. So that actually worked out for my benefit. I made a mistake on this one, but I really worked it out. So I actually took cardboard and then a container that originally contained work and school utensils, and I glued them together here. And I did that with a hot glue gun. But around it all, I decided to put paper around it with patterns. So this is a wooden pattern of paper, and this over here is a greenish, whitish marble pattern of paper. However, paper is not very stable, because it can get ruined, whether it's from rain, sweat, accidents happen, and it tears, there's so many things that can ruin paper. So I decided I needed to put like a shiny plastic over it or something to keep it from getting ruined and make it more shiny. And I had a good idea, but I didn't have any of the equipment to do that. I didn't have too much plastic. The plastic I had used for the glasses and stuff pretty much was gone, or not enough to cover all of this. So I had to think pretty hard, and I eventually decided to use saran wrap. Now, it kind of worked, but at the same time it didn't. It definitely made it shinier, and it certainly protects the paper from getting ruined. So there's the good thing. The bad thing is, if you haven't ever worked with saran wrap, well, people who have, you know it kind of wrinkles and does that and all that. And I made this before I thought of the theme, so it looked terrible, and I had no idea what to do about it. Now that I have the whole cobweb thing going on here with spiders and even the additions of these on the side, now it kind of looks cool because it looks like it's supposed to be that way. Like there's a lot of webs going around and, so you can kind of see why that would resemble a lot of spider webs. And I really like the way it is now. It gives it more of that scary look. So scary, but still beautiful. The design here, again, I got from Hobby Lobby. It was the same sticker pack. And yes, it just sticks right on because this is just saran wrap, so it was easy. There's 2 spiders dangling from a spider web here, and then another spider web down here. And because of all the details of the cobweb-likeness of this, I didn't want to put anything here. I thought it looked fine just the way it was, like that. And moving around, this is the front and side views of the table. Let's look at the back. The back here took me a lot of work too. It's still, look at that, it still kind of resembles a little bit of cobweb. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it kind of does. So it kind of still looks old and antique and a little bit run down, but still beautiful, again, which is what I wanted, due to the fact of my character being like that. So, now, looking at how I made it. So again, I took cardboard for the actual box, and then the piece here is actually from a supply holder. Sorry, I hit the phone, the camera, whatever. So the pockets here I made out of, again, this is all basically the same paper that was going around over here, but because it's in depth, it's not going to get ruined as easily, so I didn't bother putting it in any type of wrapping. Plus, it would have been way too hard to wrap. And so all of this is made out of paper, basically, but I glued it together with hot glue gun so that everything would stay firm and sturdy. When I was done, however, it looked terrible because it didn't look like it was going to stay up. So I needed something to, 1, make it firmer, and 2, make it appear firmer. So I used popsicle stick frames, not popsicle stick, why am I saying that? Toothpick stick frames, and glued them together to make it look more like this and sturdy, and it actually helped the whole framework actually stay sturdy too, and then I painted it black to match the rest of the appearance. And here I used, like, what are they called? Oh yeah, stirrers. Just, like coffee stirrers, tea stirrers, and cut them to what I needed, glued them together, and I kind of glued like 3 of them together so that it would be sturdy, strong, thicker, and make the framework a lot better. And I glued them together and also painted them black. Don't worry, I did not use paper for this part. I mean, like, when I said paper, I meant that I put the paper over the object. What I used was cardboard. So I used more cardboard and then put the paper over it to make it look more like wood. So this compartment is meant to contain the wine bottles. There's only 5 wine bottles and not 6, so one of these spaces can be open, but that's okay. For all of this, I would like to say that everything was glued together with a hot glue gun. Thank goodness, because it's sturdier, easier to work with. This compartment, as you can tell, is made for the wine glasses or any alcoholic beverage glass. Again, I just kind of printed off paper and glued it to the back with a glue stick. So it's nothing too fancy. I did the same thing with these 2, and these are the plates, and these are the bowls.